Hello everyone and welcome back to Run It Up. Run It Up number 106, 107. I should really start checking now that we're so high in the numbers. I can't really seem to remember. But Run It Up nonetheless. We are here playing some 25 cent, 50 cent, no limit Texas Hold'em on UltimatePoker.com. Been playing for maybe like 4 hands total. Only hand really was raised, re-raised, we're in the big blind, and we re-raised, and we took it down. That was really the only thing that we've played, the only hand that we've played so far this session. Recognize the Banana Toes guy and JJ for real. Don't really remember anything about the JJ for real guy, but the Banana Toes fella did sit with us to start off, so that was how this whole table did come about. Gonna raise it up here with Jack-7 of spades. Off to the flop we go. Flopped ourselves a gut shot. I guess that's something. Gonna start with a bet. See what our opponent decides to do here. Don't think there's really much else we could do. We could just like check fold, but that would be crazy. We have a gut shot, jack high. That would be kind of nuts. This is a kind of a spot where I would anticipate that he's going to put pressure on us, but I'm not really sure what we can do. We could call or re-raise, something like that, but I think folding is just fine. He is going to have it often enough. If we had absolutely nothing, like we had Jack-6 here, I think we would just check fold. I mean, I think that makes sense. But I think with Jack-7, we have to start with a bet and then make some decisions after that. Could be raised. That would also have been fine. If we were more sure of our opponent, I think that would also be okay. What's going on? It's been a little while. I had an interesting weekend, a bunch to talk about actually. And my plan today, I'm not planning on playing a super long session today, but I think that we'll probably play for like a solid like 30 minutes, something like that. That's my expectation. And I think this week will be a decent blend of stuff. I want to do some more live streams. I don't know when exactly yet, but I'm actually considering putting together like a schedule. I know. I'm still considering. I don't know if I could commit to a schedule. It's so hard. How do you schedule anything ever? That seems really difficult to do. But I'm considering putting together a schedule for this week for video stuff. Maybe doing like a stream. Oh, I don't know. Maybe a stream Wednesday or Thursday. Probably right around that like 5 p.m. time, Pacific time, which I know isn't great for you UK and you European warriors out there. But it's really the best because of the action on Ultimate Poker. You really only have I think I actually like raising here. I think this is a good spot to raise because I think this guy is going to just raise fold very often. This guy is going to raise fold pretty often. Looks like I'm very right about all of these things. It's like this guy is going to fold like 70% of the time, and this guy is going to fold like 90% of the time. Looks like I was at least slightly incorrect about that. I guess we just fold with the guy behind us now. I mean, you know, if it was heads up, I would never fold, but with the guy behind us, I think now we can fold. Kind of a unexpected turn of events there. Who would have thought it goes call very quickly? Nobody believes poor old Jay Carver. I believed myself. No, I guess I was the only one. So I'm considering doing a stream later this week, probably Wednesday or Thursday, depending on if we get a guest this week or not. And yeah, it should be a relatively normal week on the YouTubes. Flopped ourselves a gut shot here. Gonna start with a check. Depending on how this goes, we may or may not continue. I think if it goes single bet, maybe we continue. If it goes bet raise, then obviously we don't. I actually think that this might be an opportunity to raise, but given that we just saw that this guy is kind of sticky and then he has position on top of that, I think we just fold. I don't think calling makes a lot of sense. I think it's either check raised or check fold. Looks like we decided to check fold, and I feel good about that decision, all in all. So I actually played a poker tournament over the weekend, shockingly enough. If you're a friend of mine on Facebook or Instagram, you found out about that. That's right, facebook.com/jcarverpoker if you're not already, just saying. And I played a 1500 over here in Vegas, and it was fun. I played the 2-day ones. Spoiler alert: I didn't win either of the days. I didn't proceed through either of them. I got very close. I made it to like the third to the last hand of the night on the first day, but didn't make it. Didn't let it happen. The first day I had a lot of fun. The table was chatty and talkative, and some interesting hands were played. I actually really had a fun time on day one. It was nice to be back in there. I've only played like 3 tournaments since the World Series ended last summer. I'm not even sure 3 might be too many. I think I've only played the one at Bellagio in December, and I'm not even necessarily sure it's 3 actually. But I haven't been playing very much live poker lately. And so we called flop, which I think is fine here, and then here we are on the turn. I mean, you know, we could be beating him if he has like Jack 10, 9-10, spades, stuff like that. But if he has those, he's still like 30% to win just purely on his hand alone. And if he has a queen or an 8, we're just crushed. So I think we just fold now on the turn. But I haven't played a lot of live poker lately, not because I haven't really wanted to, just because I've been busy doing other things. And I really enjoyed my day one experience. It was great. Met some nice people. Met some Run It Up fans. Yes, that's true. And it was fun. I had a good day, even though I busted towards the end of the night. I still had a fun time all in all. And then the next day was completely the opposite, where like no one was talking. It's like no one was talking. Wasn't a fun experience. I just was less happy about that second day, and I actually think I played less well on day 2 than I did on day 1. And oh, that's a pretty nice little flop for us with the ace and the 5. Gonna start with a little check. That was a fun experience, more fun experience on day 1 than day 2. That's kind of a sad turn card for us in case he happens to have us with like ace, in case he happens to have like exactly 2 kings. If he has a hand like 2 queens or 2 jacks, he's not going to call a bet twice, right? But I still think I'd rather bet once ourselves. In case we had like a bluff, we would bluff this turn quite often. Man, this is not a good run out for our hand, huh? I think we start with a check and then see what happens from there. I mean, I think we're just check folding. I mean, we beat almost nothing. He has to have like ace 9 for us to win, and then he had to have ace 9 and then raise pre-flop and then check on the flop, which would be kind of a weird parlay to hit there. He does check though, so maybe we do win. Yeah, that's a pretty nitty check on the river there, but yeah, I mean, I guess there's really not much we could do about that. And what could we have done? I mean, besides fold pre-flop, which is arguable, but I think is okay there. And then we bet turn, which he called. We had the best hand. And on the river, we just lose. We lost the minimum. Okay, I guess there's that. Well, we're going to defend here with the old 3 balls. Ding ding, he says. Yeah, ding ding. River to set. Got $0. I'm just saying. You can be fine. You can be celebrating. It's fine. I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. But, you know, come on. I don't know if you have to do a ding ding. You didn't do anything, you know. You just checked back. I'm just saying, you know. But, yeah, so I had a really good time on day 1A. Day 1B, I was like, oh, my God. No, it was like everyone had headphones. It was fine. I really just wasn't, I don't know, my head wasn't in the game nearly as much as it felt like I was on day 1, and the first day 1, I should say, and busted that relatively quickly, and that was just that. So there's actually a couple more events this month I'm thinking of playing. There's a couple in Vegas. There are a couple that are outside of Vegas, so I am considering playing a little bit more in the upcoming future. Not a ton more, mind you, but a little bit more. I think we have 2 choices between check raising and check folding. I was thinking about just calling, but I think calling is bad, and I think we're going to just fold because this board is so connected. I mean, we suspect we have the best hand pre-flop, or at least are in the ballpark of it. But I think on that flop, we just say, I think it's going to be too hard to navigate down to showdown if we have the best hand, right? Let's pretend we have the best hand with ace 3 and it's 10, 9, 4. Think about the path we have to take. That's right. That's right. A little path. You know, I guess the path would be like this, but it's a traveler on the path. It's a little fish on the path, you know? Yeah. You guys know. Yeah, of course it's a fish on a path. What else would it be? But, if you think about, like, okay, so let's say we have the best hand. He's got king jack or king deuce or deuce 3. The board is 10, 9, 4. 2 spades. We have ace 3 with the ace of spades. We check, he bets, we call. Turn is a card. Let's say the turn is a 7 or a queen or a spade. A spade, I guess, does make us continue because we have a flush draw. So let's say it's not a spade. So for us to win the hand, the turn card has to be a brick. He has to not have us beat, and he has to not bluff. That's a pretty hard combination of things to hope that doesn't happen. You know, yeah, we could turn a spade, which we have talked about would be fine, or we could turn a ace, which would be great, I guess. A deuce or a 5 would give us a gut shot. A 3 would give us a low pair. So if we continue on all the cards that help us, then maybe we're okay. But against a guy who we suspect is going to be aggressive, against a guy we guess is going to be aggressive, I think it's going to be too hard to navigate down to showdown successfully, right? Because it's just how we have to check call and then check pray, and then you know, it's just too difficult. Even if we do suspect that we may be getting pilfered from. You know, I suspect pilferage, but not much that we can do about that. I don't think I've used pilfer in my vocabulary besides pilfered plans, if you're a big fan of Magic. That's probably the last time that I've said the word pilfer in my day-to-day life. But, all right, off to the big blind we go. Reloaded for $20 here, so we're in for 70. Well, at least we've been winning a little bit lately. We were down to like 880 bucks, so we're up to 940 now. I'm one of the reasons I want to stream is because I want to do these longer sessions we were talking about. I don't think I want to do like 5 longer sessions a week because I just can't imagine that anybody really wants to watch like 10 hours of poker from me a week. That's a lot. That's a lot. You know, I don't really want to do it. You guys don't really want to watch it, I'm sure. But I would actually not hate the idea of doing like one mega session that covers like a day or two of video content, you know, just let people catch up and watch. Because the old days I'd put out like a 2-hour video and it would not get as many views because it's an intimidating video to watch, obviously. But I would love to put out, I've been talking about it and I really want to do like a long session. We develop some reads, we really try to put people in the cage. We're going to cage design, you guys know. We're designing... I don't know what this is supposed to be. I'm picking up sticks and then building them into a cage. Obviously. Sure. But yeah, I think I really want to do like a longer session and kind of really talk about the adjustments that we make and things like that. I think it would make for an interesting video, and I also kind of like the idea of trying to get a day so I can do some other stuff as well. So kind of combining video days into a single day makes sense to me for like maybe Thursday, Friday, or whatever. And we can stream it too to start out. So I can stream, we can talk about stuff live, we can talk about, you know, what you guys want to see next, sit and goes or cash or tournaments or whatnot. So we have kind of an awkward decision here between checking and betting against this guy who seems a little bit more on the flatty side. I think I kind of like betting here twice. This guy can definitely have a beat, but I think this guy doesn't always have a beat, or at least he's not particularly likely to have a beat. So, okay, I just bet twice for a straight-up value, and looks like we were correct that we had the best hand. I guess, hey, hey, congratulations to us. We did it. Accomplishments, whatever that means. Maybe we win $10,000 for being a black chip level player. Sorry, we ran it up, everybody, thanks to the VPP promotions on Ultimate Poker. Hey, you know, I guess. I guess it could be a thing we could do. I have a feeling you guys would be slightly in protest over such things. But, you know, hey, I take the 10,000 where I can get the 10,000. We're going to switch over to becoming professional sports bettors maybe next week, you know? We need to run it up into something else, perhaps. 8-6 offsuit here, never folding to this guy, who I feel like is probably somewhat recreational. Nothing wrong with being a recreational player, I'm just saying. It seems like he is that type of player going to be calling here. I'm a recreational player, you know? That's what I do. I'm here for recreation. Made it to top pair status. Sorry, my throat's not feeling particularly great. Going to be starting here with the bet. I bet actually maybe a little bit too much, but our opponent doesn't think so. Pretty good turn card for us. We've now collected another 8 for the old collection. I suppose. I shouldn't have said collected for the collection, I guess. Okay. Our opponent says enough for him. $15 away from break-evenness. Could we have done something else besides bet that or check that? Or, yeah, wow. I mean, we could have maybe arguably bet a little bit less on the turn. That would have been okay. We could have done... we could have arguably checked, but that doesn't seem like the best of plays. We have to really suspect that he's like very weak for us to want to check back on the turn to give him a chance to like make a pair, because we just missed out on value too often when he would have called the turn and the river. So that's usually the reason why we like to bet turns in that spot. Completed here with ace and the king. Betting out for the minimum. Not folding to a raise here. Maybe if he shoves. Even if he shoves, I'd be like, I don't know. Ace king is pretty good on a 5-5 deuce board in a limped pot. Our opponent does decide to peel. I think I'm going to just bet here. If he has a deuce, I think we would have check called anyway, so we lose the same amount against the deuce, I think. He just folds now, though. My plan was just to bet for value with our ace high. Looks like our opponent snuffed it out correctly. I think against these two opponents, I'm going to very rarely fold my button. I know you guys are like, but Jake Carver, you always fold your button. I don't know. The button may as well say raise. You know, that's what you should do on your button. I don't know what to tell you. That's where you make all your monies. Gonna start here with a bet. Our opponent says no thank you. All right, we're climbing back up there, $12 away from break evenness. Actually, we'd be up a nickel if we made $12 right now, running it up. You know, we could. It doesn't not count. It would count. You know, running it up slowly but surely. Gonna make it 2 1/4 here. I feel like maybe there's actually. I guess. All right. Well, it worked out this time, but I felt like because the guy last time called when we had the 5-6 offsuit and tried to squeeze, that maybe that would have been a bad spot to do it. But I guess it's worth attempting to see if he's just limp folding a lot or not. And with 10 deuce offsuit, I mean, worst case scenario, he calls and we're still going to win that pot a pretty often percentage of the time, purely with the power of position, right? Because if he has two unpaired cards, which is his most likely hand, he's going to miss 2/3 of the time, and then we're going to just win the pot with a continuation bet. And sometimes we actually make pairs, which would be cool as well. Pretty good flop for us with king 10 here, 4 straight, 3 flush. Against the bet, we have two options between raising and calling. I actually think that I like raising here a little bit better. I don't think he's going to very often bet shove on us, and I think that it's at least possible that he might bet fold, or at least like bet start considering folding. We also get paid by worse if he has jack 10 or flush draw, stuff like that, 3-4, 5-4, the lower gut shots as well. And now we take a free card and make it to pair status, which I guess beats everything except for aces and jack 10. Gonna strongly consider calling here. We beat flush draws. We lose to like ace X, low aces. He doesn't have good aces very often because he would have re-raised pre-flop, we assume, or at least is likely to have. And with the price that we're getting, I think we can call getting like 3.5 to 1. We lose to like ace 5, but I'm not sure the hand would be confident enough to bet on this river here. We beat queen X, stuff like that. Don't beat king queen, but I actually feel like the way we play this hand is fine. We actually give ourselves a chance to win the pot. Like, let's say the turn is like the 4 of diamonds and he checks. We're probably going to bet that because we have a flush draw, and he's probably going to fold that hand then. I think we obviously win on jacks, and yeah, I think we played that hand reasonably well. I think we have that. I think we could have just called flop, which I guess would mean for the fact, which would probably have encouraged him to either check or bet turn. If he bets, we lose similar amounts or put in similar amounts of money, only we have no chance to win the pot on the flop. Okay, I think we played that hand reasonably well. I mean, given some of our assumptions, almost just made a horrible mistake and folded the king 4 in the small blind. See, it would have been terrible. I'm going to start here with a check. I almost think for sure this guy almost never has anything here, and I think betting would just end the hand very, very often. I want to give him a chance to try to make a pair or something. At this point, we need to start putting some money in the pot. He might call us now with queen high, maybe a 3 if he's lucky enough to have a 3. Lucky enough to have a 3, yep. So if we check now, I mean, obviously we still suspect the things we suspected on the flop, that he probably doesn't have very much. But the problem is at this point, if we don't start betting, we're not going to ever win anything. So we check, he checks, rivers to 7, we bet $1, he calls, congratulations, you made $1. Like, you know, even that doesn't happen very often. So yeah, I think we have to start there with a bet on the turn. So we're stuck a little bit, but I think that that's fine. I also would have assumed that, not assumed, but I would have said that like there is some % chance that he would have re-raised pre-flop with that king queen. Not saying he has to all the time, or even that he does most of the time, but some of the time, you know, I think he raises with king queen pre-flop as well. So that's something else that goes in our favor for calling the river. I do think that we've people have been talking in the comments and stuff that maybe I call too often in some of these spots, and it's definitely possible that I might call too often, but I don't think you can say that based off of the sample size for sure. Like, you know, I definitely call a lot, and maybe I haven't adjusted to the fact that there are players at this level who are just not bluffing. But I think we've talked about that a lot, that, you know, that theoretically speaking, if people are in spots never bluffing, then of course I should never be calling, and I might be overestimating the spots that they are bluffing. But I think that comes about, you know, we'll sharpen that up in time, and I think that's why longer sessions are just superior, because I think longer sessions will kind of will obviously have a longer skill edge the longer sample we play, assuming we're the best or a winning player in the game, right? I'm just assuming we're a winning player. I'm not even assuming we're the best player. I'm just assuming we're a winner. And if that's the case, then longer sessions will of course be better. And I think for me particularly, because I am a live pro and all of that, I think that my edge will be increased over a longer session. So raised here for straight up value, and got re-raised pretty quickly here by this guy. I don't think that it's too likely that he's got absolutely nothing. It's possible, of course, but I don't think it's too likely. And I think we just fold here at this point. I mean, I think these are the kinds of things that he's going to... I mean, he just raised so quick. Like, I guess it's possible that he's just like... He just doesn't think we have anything and is just re-raising with like 4-5 suited or something like that. But I think, in my mind, the most likely result was going to be either fold or call or call fold. Any of those options would have been fine with us without having that hand. Like, I think if he has, at this level, I think if he has like ace 4 suited, he's probably calling way more often than he's raising. You know, in my experience, that seems to be like with the options that people take at this limit. Gonna raise it up here in the button. Guess we could have made it 150. I think this is like kind of like lazy click sizing here. I click the raise button. Whatever the number is fine. Could give up here. Could also just bet once. I feel like we should bet once. You know, there are going to be enough hands that he'll fold. Ace highs. You know, king 5 of spades not continuing at this point. King 5 of spades, I guess, would be a hard hand for him to have. Just saying. Slightly. At this point, we could try to bet twice, but if he's made it pair status, he's probably not folding at this point. So I think we can just check back. We win the pot sometimes on various rivers. This might be one of them. But I guess we'll see. I don't think he folds tens, never folds jacks, certainly never folds aces. But maybe there's some universe that he folds a 6 or like a king or like queen 9. You know, even like 8-9 would be a hand that would fold on the river here. That I don't think we're winning this. You know, there are hands he'll have that will just fold on the river. I don't think he's ever folding an ace, but I think he'll fold like literally 9 high. Needs to fold the river for us, and I think that surely will occur. Gonna raise it up here with king and queen. JLef07 joins the table. I don't know why I'm laughing at that. I was like, oh, it's L Jeff, and then clearly he's not. Reading is a very difficult thing, generally speaking. Pretty good flop for us with king queen here. Gonna be starting with a bet. Check and bet. Given that we only have $30, we're probably not going to be going anywhere. If he check raises, we're just going to call, and probably, yeah, doesn't even... I was excited. I was hoping he would check raise or do something, but nope. We just win the minimum. You know, you'd think for guys that, you know, you'd think that we were in there often enough, we would get action more often post-flop. But we really don't. It seems like, at least we haven't lately. We've been getting kind of slapped around a little bit. But I don't know what to say. We got to play longer sessions, and then we'll see. I tried to play more in that turbo week. I tried to play like a bunch more sessions, and we did play more sessions that week. But I don't know. Didn't work out too well for us. I played a bunch and just kind of ran semi not well, if I recall correctly. I don't know. Trying my best here. I wonder how much of a disadvantage it is, like, at this point. You know, now that we've been playing for 8 months, I've been making videos for 8 or 9 months even. I wonder how much of a disadvantage it is at this point. Like, what percentage of my opponents have seen me play and are thus adjusting? Because obviously it's a disadvantage if, like, you know, this guy on my right or whatever has watched, even if he's watched like 8 videos, then I've watched 0, so he has some information on him. I mean, obviously. I don't think it's like necessarily like skill negating, but I'm sure there are some people that it would be skill negating, right? If you're like, I don't know, let's say you're a 20% loser against me, but then you watch 10 videos, you're probably going to be at least close to to like break even. Is that true? If I'm like treating you as random and you've studied and practiced, I'm not sure. I honestly am not sure what the skill differential is. I don't feel like it's a very big deal, but I think that it's certainly possible that like the more skilled regulars are probably slight winners, because I am pretty open about strategy at this point, because I don't play for like income anymore. So like whatever, I don't care. Do whatever you want, you know, watch or don't watch. I also feel like live, if I really wanted to go back, the reason why I'm so open is because if I wanted to go back to playing poker full time, I feel like it would not be that big of a deal that I had made videos, because so many people have just no idea, you know, like in the live arena, you know, 90%, 80% of people probably have no idea who I am. You know what I mean? Or at least in the majority of fields, I think. Like if I went and played like in that 1500, I would have bet like I didn't recognize more than like 8 people out of like 700 person field. So I mean, at this point, I don't really think I'm gonna be like super well recognized, and I feel like I can probably do. Like I don't feel like these videos hurt my true bottom line, but I'm sure in this in the run it up setting, you know, it obviously does hurt slightly. But it's again, like I think that's a process we need to I think that's a thing that we can kind of negate by playing longer sessions, where I can kind of adjust and not just do like, you know, my normal default. You know what I mean? In the recent. Well, okay, I'll put it this way. So I don't really know how I've always avoided, or how I've avoided to ever see the movie, but I saw for the first time ever this weekend Donnie Darko. If you've never seen it, I really recommend. I mean, you have to watch it. It's one of those movies where, like, regardless how you feel about it, I feel like it's one of those things like you have to watch it. How do you not? Like, it's just, how have I somehow avoided seeing this movie to this point in my life and being like unaware of its existence? But I really liked it. If you're, I mean, I've been on a lot of these. I've been on this kick lately. If you've been familiar with it, The Fountain, Cloud Atlas, Pi, now Donnie Darko. I've been on kind of like the slightly odd. We're in for 85, right? I've been on like the slightly odd movie kick lately. If you have any recommendations for me based on those alone, if you've been a fan of those as well, I will say Cloud Atlas was definitely the best of that range. I really liked Pi. I don't know if I talked about that yet, but I put on Pi expecting just to like put it on the background, which is not the best way to watch a movie. Never mind a movie like that. But I put it on, planning to put it in the background, and it just like immediately grabbed my attention, and I like couldn't look away for an hour and a half. That's pretty strong. That's pretty strong all in all. When that happens, it's pretty rare. And I really liked it. I thought it was great. I really thought that was a very interesting mental journey, which is how I like my movies to be. Mental journeys, you know? I think that's any great story. You start somewhere, you take the ride, ups and downs, and you get off at the end of the roller coaster and say, wow, that was great. I'm thinking right now. That's great. That's the goal. So if you have any recommendations for me, let me know in the comments below. I read all the comments always, so... always is not true, but most of the time I read the comments. Sometimes I'm just like, listen, I can't. I can't. It's gonna hurt me too much to read, so I just can't. But most of the time I read all the comments. Gonna start here with a check. Pretty good flop for us, all in all. Gonna be not folding. Looks like there's no need to not fold. I'm gonna just go check through. At this point, I think we're gonna bet on turn, and we're gonna bet a lot of scary rivers as well. If this guy bets like a lot, I guess we could maybe not do that, but. So we could raise, that's one thing we could do, but I actually think calling seems all right. We do beat Jack, we do beat some other draw end things. I wish it had been heads up, but I guess this is still not awful for us. We probably lose to this guy, given that he didn't bet flop and then called on turn. There's not too many hands that he's going to have that we're going to beat. Right? What does he have that we beat here? You know, if he has Queen Jack, is that really going to just, is that really going to not bet flop? I mean, maybe. No, he bets. So the only thing that this guy can have that makes any sense is a 10, right? Because what else would you have that would not bet flop that would now get here? Like, I don't think this is an absolutely crazy hero call to make, but like, I mean, it kind of is. But like, why wouldn't he just bet on the flop with whatever it is that he has? I think we just fold. Like, if he has no pair, right? He has to have queen high or worse for us to win, because we have the worst ace high, right? So he has to have like 5-6, deuce 5, 6-7, jack 9, queen jack. He has to have all of those often enough for us to break even. right? Because breaking even in this situation is fine because we're calling with ace high, which is great for our image. So all we have to do is figure out, given that we have to put in 4 to win 14, do we win that often enough to break even? My issue is almost all the hands that have no pair by the river would have just bet on flop. There's not too many hands that would play that way. Like if he had 5-6, he's gonna bet flop. If he has like Jack 9 or Queen Jack, wouldn't those hands just bet on flop some percentage of the time anyway? And then they're not always bluffing on the river on top of that. So even if he has those hands, he's not always bluffing on the river. So I just think like the combination of the parlays is just slightly not good enough in our favor. If we had a hand like ace queen in that spot, now we beat ace jack, we beat other ace highs that he just checked back. If we had a hand like 2 9s, right? This is a good thought experiment for you if you encounter a spot like this and aren't 100% sure, right? So ace deuce, we go, okay, so the math says it's probably too thin. It's on the thin side, It's the spectrum. We love our spectrums here at runitup, that's it. And then we go, okay, well, what if we had ace queen? We go, well, that's a little bit closer. Maybe that's okay. Well, let me think, well, what if we had deuces? Does that change anything? No, not really. If we had 5s, 5s becomes really strong in this spot, right? It's king 3 4 10 king, right? So 5s becomes really strong because now we beat all the 4s and the 3s and the deuces and the ace highs. That goes well. Now I think we've got enough pudding in the pudding pile really to call here successfully. We beat enough things that he has, and you keep pulling up that spectrum and say until you find a spot where you think you're comfortable based on the math. But I think based on the fact that we have to call 4 to win 14, I just think that we're probably calling with 5s. 5s I think is a clear spot we're calling with, and then we just go worse from there and think about, well, where does that end? Because clearly at some point that ends, right? Clearly that spectrum hits a point where it goes, okay, this is too thin. Mathematically, this is just incorrect. And you can actually do this if you actually wanted to become like the sickest poker player in the world. You actually could mentally sit there and break down exactly like what kind of opponent. You build an opponent model for your guy and say, okay, well, what do we do in this situation with this guy that does these things with this kind of hand? So in this spot, I don't think he's bet folding here too often. We could call and then maybe an ace or a king. Actually, given that our options are to shove or to call, I think I'm going to just call and then call all turns. Is that correct? Maybe that's incorrect. Maybe we make too many mistakes. Actually, I actually think maybe I should have just shoved on flop to avoid making mistakes. But I don't know. I think we just fold now. I kind of messed up this hand a little bit. By my first plan was just to shove flop because whatever. But then I was like, well, he's never folding on flop. Maybe if we call and the turn is any kind of card that pairs us, we're never folding. If it's a spade, we're never folding. If it's a straight card for us, we're never folding. So if it's a queen or an 8 or whatever the straight cards were, then we're never folding. And I thought if it's an ace or a king, he might just check because those are scary cards for us. And but I think I should have just shoved because I make too many mistakes mathematically speaking. If he just has like 10-8 or something, well, I guess 10-8 actually beats us. Actually, maybe it was okay to call. As awkward as it kind of felt, maybe it was fine to just call with that hand. I mean, it can't be correct to fold. I'll have to think about that spot a little bit more. I'm really not 100%. So in this hand, this guy limped, we potted, he called, and now here we are on the turn here. I think we're going to start with a check. Not sure if we're going to continue here. Will kind of depend on the sizing and then if this guy sticks around or not. We do beat a good number of hands. Okay, we beat less hands at this point. We chop with a good amount, but I think we just lose as well a decent amount of the time. Okay. I feel like we lose to this guy a pretty good percentage of the time. He has 8s or 9s or something, but I guess we'll see. Beat that hand. All right. Hey, we won one. Nice. I mean, interesting that he had queen 9. So he had queen 9. He limp called 10-10-7. Check called into 2 people. Yeah, I don't know about that. You call 8 there, J Carves? I would think about it. I would think about it. When in doubt. By the way, given that he didn't bluff that hand, it makes me feel better about our ace-deuce fold, because it's a very similar situation where this guy decided not to bluff, and I think that the hand where we just folded the ace-deuce is a very similar situation. So I feel better about our fold there. I really think that King 9 is one of my least favorite hands ever. I mean, just because it just makes terrible everything. But I guess for 5-1, I can put $1 in the pot. You know, the problem with King 9 is that it makes straights, but they're never the best straights. You know, you're never making the nut straight, and you're always going to be a little uncomfortable with situations like this. You know, you're never making great pairs. It's always a little bit awkward, but I think we can hopefully... It's like, don't try this at home, kids. Like, you know, it's going to be a little hard here. Okay, well, slightly less of a difficult situation now that we've made it to 3 king status. That's right, all the kings. King of hearts away from the complete set. If our opponent bombs it, I think that would be probably the best results for us. He says no bombing here. I'm gonna bet the river as if I had Jack 10. You know, I think something like that seems like a reasonable size. I would make it if I had Jack 10. I think okay, no need to talk. Pay me. Tony Clarino wants to get paid here. You know. Thank you. All right, we managed to win some money. Sweet. Lulz aces. Well, I guess that makes sense. I mean, mathematically, we didn't make too many mistakes. Flop check through, right? We didn't, or did we call flop? We might have called flop, I guess. I guess that was a mathematical mistake. But you know, only against aces and like hands that are crushing us. I think. I guess you know. I got lucky a little bit. It's not the worst thing that could happen, you know? Wow, the pizza delivery man from the Oscars apparently got a $1,000 tip. Damn. I don't have too many things that are like news bulletins. You guys are like, how did he find that out right now? I happen to have one thing open that like refreshes, and that just happened to say the story that said pizza delivery man and then his name got a $1,000 tip for his Oscar delivery, including $400 from Ellen. Wow, that's beautiful. I'm crying. That's a great story. I don't know if you saw I saw the Oscars yesterday. It was like fine. I actually thought that, oh, look what we did here. Defending with the old Queen Dewey and just made 3 Deweys. Sweet news. But I didn't really love it, to be honest. I thought this show was a little bland and not really too much memorable, but I guess it was fine. So I actually think we're going to call here. What's the scary turn card for us? Tell me a scary turn card. There is none. So I'd like to call and let people maybe catch up a little bit, maybe bluff again. You know, it kind of makes us feel like maybe we just have an 8. It disguises the strength of our hand. So now we bet, but, you know, what are they going to do? You know, it's kind of hard to give us too much credit here. If we bet 9 and he calls, that'll put another 18 in the pot, and it'll give him about a pot-sized bet left. So I think 9 is fine. But actually, I think maybe 10 is a little bit better. I think he's going to call 10 very similar to 9. Maybe 10 looks a little bit less scary. It's only 1 chip. It's, you know. Or I guess maybe the old marketing ploy of making it $9.99 might have been the best here. No. I get that extra $1. You know? That's right. Pay me my $1, bitch. Pretty good river for us here. He's got 12 cents above pot. So we do have that option. But I just think that's like kind of unrealistic. We just kind of it looks so strong that I think he's folding a lot. So I think we should try to bet maybe around 25. Seems fine. If he has an 8 or better, I think he'll call more often than not. If he has no pair, he's not calling anything. So this does look pretty strong. We did call him and bet 20, 10 and 25. We did put a lot of money in this pot here, but I think it's okay. Sizing wise, I don't think he would have done too much different than this. Looks like we're not getting money here. Well, I don't know. Tough to say. If he has a hand like, he claims aces. Well, if he folded aces, I really like our defend if he's folding aces. I mean, that's crazy. It would be a crazy good fold in this scenario. I'm not going to take that away from him. Time bank, please, he says. Well, hey, if he folded aces, that's a great fold for him, but I would have never suspected that he would fold even like 9s. Never mind aces. But, he does make, if he did fold aces, and I'm going to take him at face value for now, I don't think Yeah, I mean, I don't think aces seems crazy to fold. But if he did fold aces, it was a good fold in this case, obviously. And I guess you could go through the logic of like, well, would he have bet this way if he had worse than aces? Like, what hands does Jay Carver have, or maybe, what hands does my opponent have that are worse than aces that bet like this? There's not a lot of them, right? Like, do I have queens? No, I would never play queens that way. I mean, there's not too many hands that I would play that way. That aces. I mean, it makes sense that aces could be beat there, like the story that I'm telling. But I think that's one of the reasons why, if I had bet pot, I actually thought that would be more likely to get a hand like aces to fold, because you have to click the cold all in button, the cold call all your chips away button. That's a scary button to press, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't have been like shocked if we potted it and he folded a hand that was like maybe heroic. I thought we kind of would have avoided that by betting a little bit less, but he made a good fold if he did fold no repair. And if he folded a hand like ace queen, well, it's much more like what I think he had, somewhere in that value range. Very close to flopping a set, even the right suit and everything. Going to start with a bet. I think we have the best hand here. Maybe not more often than... more often than he has the best hand. That's probably true. He decides to defend, though. I think my plan is to check back here and then make some decisions on rivers against a guy who we saw appeal with the queen 9 on the 10-10-7 board. We've seen him be kind of just generally more appealy. I think that makes me more likely to call. We do beat nothing here that had made a pair on the flop. Not a 9, not a 4, not an ace. But for $2, we beat all the straight draws, all the flush draws. You got it, kid. $2 headed your way. Okay. Here you go. $2 headed your way. I mean, is that a spot we could have maybe saved ourselves $2? Maybe. But again, if he's never bluffing, that's one of those spots where if we watch him for hours, we can kind of determine that, okay, he's never bluffing in that spot. But with a guy we'd never know at all, I think there's going to be enough times that we'll have like no pair at all and we'll just fold. And, I think I'm okay with putting in $2 there for the straight up information value of it. Never mind for the fact that I think we actually win there often enough. We'll probably play for another orbit. We've been playing actually for like 40 minutes. Could make this a little bit longer of a video, I guess, and play this session out a little bit longer. But I think we'll probably wrap this video up probably at the end of this orbit. Currently down 60 cents, so that's good. We've ran it even so far. Hopefully we'll be able to just win a little bit. Just a little bit is all we want. Let's just run it up a little bit. That's all we want to do. I guess we'll see. I think I actually like this table. It's kind of a little bit tough because these two players, like, it's possible that this guy is the best player in the game, given that he folded aces correctly in that last spot. But I don't know enough to say that for sure. So I would guess that one of these two players is the best player, our best opponent. And I would say I don't know this guy at all. I feel like I like having position on this fella. And then, yeah, I think this game is fine for us. Seems like a decent spot to mine for money here. Like if we were just trying to do the run it up challenge with no sort of like, I think this is a great table for us. I wouldn't hate staying here for a little while. Gonna start with a call. Our opponent has auto check fold on, which is always a mistake against us. Check, because he has auto check fold on, so there's almost no chance that he's going to connect with this board. So I'd rather check, give him a chance to make a pair or a draw or something, and then bet. If we had no pair, we would almost definitely bet, which you would say, well, Jay Carver, if you're going to bet when you have nothing, how do you not bet when you have something? Yeah, that's true, but we know he has nothing. Unless he's like fucking with us with like having the auto check fold button on with a big hand, he's almost for sure got nothing. So I want to give him an opportunity in this one time. I'm not worried about being exploited. You know what I mean? People worry too often about being exploited when they're just never being exploited. They just, spots like that is a good example, I think. You don't have to worry about being balanced in that situation. You just make the best decision against him. Raised it up kind of small here on the button. Figured we'd drive out one of, if not both of the blinds and get heads up against that guy. Not the best of flops, but I think it's an okay spot for us. I actually think that we could arguably check back here. You know, we do have a pretty terrible draw. You know, basically the queen is garbage. The 7 is fine. But I think it's too often one of these two players will continue on this board. Given that we are completely void of having big cards, it seems kind of unlikely that both of these guys won't have big cards. It has checked to us twice now. I guess we should take a shot now. We would check back some hands here. We would check back like jacks once in a while, 10s once in a while. You know, there are some hands we would viably check back in this situation. Okay, so a little bit of a unorthodox kind of hand there, in that we don't usually check back spots as the pre-flop aggressor, but I think that's fine. I could have also played this hand too. I had auto fold on because I think these three are the toughest players in the game, so I felt like this was not going to be a super winning fold. But against the limp, maybe we could have either limped behind or raised. So we managed to win almost $3 right now. I know. Hold your breath, kids. It might happen. We might just book a $3 win here today. Hey, we were losing for a while. I'll take a $3 win when we're down almost a buy-in. We were down 35 bucks. Looks like we're going to be hopefully up $3 to end the session out. I guess we've got 2 hands left to make something happen here. So this video obviously is coming out kind of in a late time today. I'm going to be on a little bit of a different release schedule this week. I mean, not necessarily every day, but for today for sure, and tomorrow will probably be the same way. It'll probably be about the same time for release, so it'll be probably the same, you know, 4 p.m. Pacific time release schedule. I know it's a little bit off, but you guys, I think, usually watch these videos on demand anyway. So sorry that it's a little bit later than usual, but I'm not really that sorry. I mean, I don't know what to say. I couldn't do it earlier. I tried my best. The earliest I could do it, I did the video. You know, I tried. Life, you know, is the thing. A little bit of a big pot here between JJ for real and Banana Toes. Raise, re-raise, call. I guess there's no real reason to super analyze their hands because we're ending in a hand anyway. But another pickup there from JJ for real. Last hand here, over under the gun. All right. We booked the win, boys and girls. We did it. We did it. We ran it up. Started with less, ended with a little bit more. Ended today with 944.32. My run-up balance is the same as my UltimatePoker balance at this point. Oh, wait. Oh, wallet value. Is that right? Oh, I don't know. But looks like we did manage to run it up. So, sweet. We did that. Let's full screen it. Actually, I don't even know. I don't have really a lot to say. This video has went on longer than I thought it would anyway. So this is going to be quick. Thanks much for watching as always. If you enjoyed today's video, hey, we ran it up and, you know, did a pretty long video. If you enjoyed those things, like the video. That helps me directly in some magic YouTube way, so I appreciate it if you do. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to share it. Tell your poker playing friends, hey, look, this guy is trying to run it up and not the worst. It's a different kind of thing. It's not just poker. It's other things too. You know, it's much, you know, or don't, whatever. But if you want to, I appreciate it. Thank you. And that's it for me. If you haven't already followed me on Facebook or Twitter, facebook.com/JakeHarperPoker, twitter.com/Jason Somerville, and that's it. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me as always. I will see you back for more very soon. Peace.